The first instance of stop-motion technique can be credited to Albert E. Smith and J. Stuart Blackton for Vitagraph's The Humpty Dumpty Dance from 1898, in which toy circus of acrobats and animals come to life. In 1902, the film Fun in a Bakery Shop used the stop trick technique in the lightning sculpting sequence. In 1907, The Haunted Hotel is a new stop-motion film by J. Stuart Blackton and was a success when released. In 1912, one of the earliest clay animators was Modeling Extraordinary. In December 1976, the first woman animator, Helena Smith Dayton, began experimenting with clay stop-motion. Her first film in 1917 was an adaptation of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. In 1925, a well-known animator, Willis O'Brien, released his film The Lost World, but is most admired for his work on King Kong. In the 1940 promotional film Autolite was an automotive parts supplier, featured stop-motion animation of its products marching past Autolite factories to the tune of Francis Schubbert's Military March. In 1953, Art Clokey made a free-form clay support called Gumbasiah, which shortly thereafter propelled him into his more structured Gumby TV show. In November 1959, the first episode of San Mancha was shown on East German television. In the 1960s and 1970s, clay animator Elliot Noyes Jr. refined the technique for free-form clay animation with his Oscar-nominated 1965 film Clay. Noyes also used stop-motion to animate sand lying on glass for his musical animated film Sandman. In 1975, filmmaker and clay animation experiment Will Vinton joined with sculptor Bob Gardiner to create an experimental film called Closed Mondays, which became the world's first stop-motion film to win an Oscar. In the United Kingdom, Peter Lord and David Sproxton formed Aardman Animations. In 1976, they created the character Morph, who appeared as an animated sidekick to the TV presenter Tony Hart on his BBC TV program. The 5-inch high presenter was made from traditional modeling. In 1977, they started on a series of animated films using modeling clay, but this time made for a more adult audience. Disney experimented with several stop-motion techniques by hiring animator-director Mike Jittlov to do the first stop-motion animation of Mickey Mouse toys ever. Produced for a short sequence called Mouse Mania, part of a TV special commemorating Mickey Mouse's 50th anniversary called Mickey's 50th in 1978. In the 1970s and 1980s, Industrial Light and Magic often used stop-motion animation for films such as the original Star Wars trilogy, the sequence in Star Wars, the Tauntauns, the AT-AT Walkers, and the Empire Strikes Back, and the AT-ST Walkers and Return of the Jedi were all stop-motion. In the United Kingdom, Aardman Animations continue to grow. Channel 4 funded a new series of clay animated films. In 1980, Mark Paul Chinoy directed the first feature-length clay animated film, a film based on the Pogo comic strip, titled I Go Pogo. It was aired a few times on American cable channels, but it hasn't yet to commercially released. Primary clay, some characters required amateurs and walk cycles use pre-sculptured hard-based legs. In 1985, Will Vinton and his team released an ambitious featured film in stop motion called The Adventures of Mark Twain, based on the life and works of famous American author. At the end of the 1980s and the beginning of the 1990s, there have been an increasing number of traditional stop motion feature films. The Nightmare Before Christmas, directed by Henry Selick and produced by Tim Burton, was one of the more widely released stop motion features. Henry Selick also went to direct James and the Giant, Peach, and Coraline. Tim Burton went to direct Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie. Since 1990, other notable stop-motion feature films were released, include The Secret Adventures of Tom Thumb, that was released in 1993. In 2009, Fantastic Mr. Fox and $9.99 were both released.